Welcome everybody to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast, and in this video I'm going to give you my review for Max. I wish it was called HBO Max. I hated that change, man. I really did. But we're gonna go over the ins and outs of Max and what I actually genuinely think about the streaming platform. Let's get into it. So I remember back in the day, Prime used to have HBO included, and way back in the day they also had, if you guys remember, there used to be the DC streaming service, and so they had the likes of Titans, they had that Suicide Squad knockoff, but I heard that was pretty good. I checked out the first season, it was really good. So, and then later on they decided, well, you know what, we're gonna do our own streaming platform since everybody has their streaming platform. Thankfully they didn't call it HBO Max Plus, it was just called HBO Max. They went through a lot of iterations like HBO Now, HBO Then, HBO Future, HBO Present, and the likes of that, but thankfully now they just have HBO Max. HBO Max is really cool. I remember they had Peacemaker. We did a review on that way back when. Of course, Succession's one of my favorite show. They had Barry. They had all of that stuff, Euphoria. And I believe Euphoria was on cable. And I don't really know who subscribed to cable anymore because you have so many of these streaming services now. But now they did a change a little bit later on where they started after the pandemic hit. I remember the first movie they've put out, I think, was Godzilla versus Kong. And that was a huge surprise to me because at that time, too, Prime, they did a thing, I think it's called Prime Premiere, where it's like $19. But that really introduced something new to the market. And it's a really unfortunate thing for AMC theaters. But I'm not going to lie, man, I really sometimes don't feel like to go to the movies and just want to watch a movie at home, even if it's $19. But at least with Max, it's for free. The movies were scattered, very far, few and in between, but nevertheless, it was cool to see Godzilla versus Kong at home, even though that movie, you should see it in IMAX, I would argue, but nevertheless, it still was cool. So then they did the change. They merged with Discovery. So there was the app Discovery Plus, and they had all your reality TV shows. They had TLC. They had this, that, and the third. They did a merger, and they also changed the name from HBO Max to Max, and they changed the color scheme. That I did not like that because I felt like Max, when they did the change, Max was so unique for just being HBO Max. And I think at the time, The Last of Us was streaming on just HBO Max. And it was purple. It was different. Now they have the same color scheme like Prime, like Disney Plus. And it's like, just be original, But what's cool about the UI is I actually think it's one of the most easiest streaming platforms to really navigate what you want to see, and they do have a lot of Warner Brothers originals. They have a lot of other movies too that I never get bored watching anything here. I usually find what I want to find, just like I do with Prime. And of course they have all DC stuff, so that's really great as well. I believe they have a section just for DC. So just like how Disney Plus has Marvel stuff, HBO or Max, they have their Warner Brothers stuff, including the Justice Leagues, this and that. And they were nice enough to also have the Zack Snyder cut on here, and they still do. And I remember that day where it was a different aspect ratio, and it was just really neat to see all that stuff. It felt like it was like a nice love letter to the fans. And also, it was just really organized. I mean, DC they even have all their animated stuff on here. I'm not really sure what's the deal here. Like for the animated stuff, usually, you would have to go buy it. And then maybe like a month later, they place the animated stuff onto the streaming platform. I don't know if it's just right away. Then what's the point of buying physical media at this point when it comes to DC animated universe? So they have here, I think their most recent one was Justice League War World, which I'm just going to say that if you guys didn't know, I'm a big fan of the DC animated universe. I hated that change that they did. I believe it was called Justice League Dark Apocalypse or something like that, and that's where they restarted everything. I'm not a big fan of the animation and that, but I only mention that just because there's so many of these movies being featured on Max. So yeah, I mean, the UI is really simple to go through. If you go on the website, they're really shilling after Barbie, because when they first put Barbie on here, wherever you move your mouse, it like glittered and stuff. Now they took that away, of course, because it's been on the platform for like about a week or two at the time of this recording. But yeah, I mean, it's really great to just And there's a lot of original shows too. Obviously, I remember the show The Outsider, which is another great show you guys should check out. That was on Max. You know, and then again, you have your TLC shows, you have your 90 Day Fiance. I mean, you have your sports, kids, family. You have a whole slew of things. Adult Swim, Cartoon Network. So it's a really giant streaming platform to just enjoy every content that they release. And I really think it's straightforward, the UI. I think the documentaries are a little bit biased for the most part. It does seem pretty biased. I mean, come on, but the documentaries nevertheless are really great. And hey, HBO, you know, is infamous for doing, not infamous, but they're iconic for also doing these great documentary series. So, but a lot of stuff they're releasing is like pretty biased, man. Jeez Louise, like change it up a little bit. Goodness me. But you also have your other iconic franchises here as well, which I didn't know that they own so much, but you know, they have the Conjuring series. You could watch all the stuff. I bet you guys definitely forgot about the Curse of La Llorona. I know I did. I mean, you have a lot of stuff here. You have the extended editions for the Lord of the Rings franchise, which is crazy that Prime is the one who has the show. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just really, really simple to go through, really easy peasy. And they do bring their movies straight to here after a short period of time, which I appreciate tremendously. So, because I'm not a big fan of always going to the theaters to do all these reviews and stuff like that. But yeah, I always enjoyed Max. I can't wait for The Last of Us season 2. They have a news beta as well. I just checked this out here. Well, definitely news beta is like super biased. Goodness me, guys. Holy cow. What's up with these people? But yeah, I mean, they're definitely not a Daily Wire here. They're just Max. Max-CNN. But yeah, so all in all, my rating for Max is going to be a 8 out of 10. I really like this platform. I hate how biased it can be at times, but I think it's a really simplified UI that is easy to get through. I think the fast forwarding is not bad, so you could really find a specific spot you want. I enjoy that. I also did like the merger because at least you don't have to subscribe to Discovery Plus. I like that a lot of these platforms are mixing in everything together. Now, whether they raise the price or not, because they do have ads here and they do have a tier for 4K, just like Netflix does. So if it's worth for you to actually subscribe to that tier, I believe now I pay about $19 or something for Max. So it is pretty steep, I'd say, for a streaming service. I don't really feel comfortable paying for all these streaming services. It's like, at the end of the day, at one point, you're going to be paying the same amount of money you pay for cable. At the time, I remember I used to pay like 240 something. Then I fixed my deal and then it went back to like 200 and something. I was like, so that's how it kind of feels, especially these days with playing with Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So you really have to pick and choose. But of course, being a content creator, you have to cover so many different shows. So it does suck. You're spending a pretty penny. Is it worth it? That's completely up to you. For me, at least, I think it's worth it because I do enjoy the Max platform. I enjoy what they have on here. But without further ado, let me end this thing. If you guys actually like this video, please actually like this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we have plenty of content coming your way, so stick with me. I will be reviewing Peacock, Apple TV, Tubi, and Crunchyroll, coming soon to a streaming platform near you. Thank you so much, and as always, I'll see you guys.